Hello, everyone. Welcome into your Sports Day 1 episode 171 NBA free agency. We're about a week through already. This we'll cover the rest of the signings and go over our early winners and losers of the free agency period. Typically, free agency doesn't really end until after Summer League, maybe a little bit after that. Then everyone goes their separate ways and, we back up during training camp. So we'll have that for you. Plus, maybe we'll sprinkle in some other things. But with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Back. Let's get into this NBA free agency winners. Let's just do some of the news we've missed, and then we'll go over our early winners and losers. And I think we left off late Monday, last episode. I don't think we went over Tyus Jones signed with the Magic. This is the last Monday, June 30th. So I think it's a good sign. The Magic need, honestly, a point guard or even a backup point guard, 6-man type of role. How you feel about this signing, Lawrence?
Looking for them because he was playing last year. And I think a lot of people were seeing the floor going around with the ring. Not saying anything about it, but it's nice to have depth on your team and able to go deep. Especially when you want to make a postseason run, and at least you know that Tyus Jones isn't coming in there like a rookie or anything like that. He's got experience, and honestly, the Magic are kind of built to make a run for the next 2 years, so at least he can be part of that as well.
Yeah, agree with all that. Definitely help them out. The Hawks made a bunch of moves. I don't know if we disclosed that Nikhil Alexander Walker is heading to the Hawks. I think for the full MLE, 4 years. I think it's what $62 million. Good sign for the Hawks. Of course, they picked up Porzingis in that trade from the Celtics. And then they also signed. I just went past it. Luke Kennard, so another sniper, 1 year, $11 million. The Hawks secretly making some moves. They look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. They kind of turned the team around from where they were
It's
from
definitely a
last
big
season.
blow up, I would
Any
say.
thoughts?
They definitely blew that thing up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then gave it a little bit of nice makeup. I do like what they're doing, but you gotta wonder with everything that they are doing, how is that chemistry gonna suffer? Because they're gonna go a few games with a lack thereof, and either they hit the ground running or they're, I wouldn't want to say a middle of the tier East team, but they could be.
Yeah, we'll talk about them a little bit later. But I got them. I got my expectations for the Hawks are a lot higher than they were just a week ago. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Moving on to last Tuesday, of course, SGA signed his 4 year supermax, basically like 70 million per year average, super duper contract. Um, Yabusele, he used to play for the Sixers last year, backed up Joel, pretty much started in place of Joel once he went down for good. Signed with the Knicks. That's a good option. Good signing for the Knicks. They needed a backup center slash just like center because Mitchell Robinson's he's not reliable. He was reliable when he got back and into the postseason, but I mean honestly, you can't trust Mitchell
You know,
Robinson,
you
can
get
you, to stay healthy? And then Miles Turner. This is the big shocker to me. Miles Turner signing with the Bucks. 4 years, 107 million. Apparently, the Pacers lowballed him the entire negotiation period. So he went ahead and took his talents to Milwaukee. You're probably wondering, hey, how did Milwaukee have the money to sign him? Well, they're waiving and stretching Dame Lillard over like the next 5 years. So take 113 and stretch it over 5 years. Basically, it's getting 20 million for the next 5 years, and it's like a 20 million dead cap hit for the next 5 years from the Bucks. So basically, the Bucks are mortgaging their mortgage right now. It's crazy. How do we feel about this signing? Like, I like the signing, Lawrence, but I don't know if you can. I don't know if this is just enough to keep Giannis there, honestly.
This is enough to sell tickets. I think
Hmm.
the problem you'll have is Turner and Giannis kind of walking at each other. Well, I don't hate the signing. What I hate is the fact that Miles Turner is going to go and get a nice contract. He's probably going to play with Giannis 2 years. Giannis either stays because he wants to be a loyal guy and just retire a buck and play as a buck and maybe be, the biggest buck whatever all time, or he goes elsewhere because they can't, they can't make up that loss of $20 million for the next 5 years. Like that's $20 million. That's big money to pay a player. Like now you're gonna have to build your team around above average role players to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't like it. I don't like mortgaging your mortgage. I mean, $20 million dead cap hit in the NBA is way different than the NFL. At least in the NFL, you can kind of maneuver some things. In the NBA, it's harder to make the math work. So I don't really like the move of how they went about it. I think they, might have been better off just maybe trading Kuzma to the Pacers and making the money work. Um, Also, the Bucks signed Gary Harris, and then they traded Pat Connaughton, probably one of their best players, to the Hornets for Mike Mike. I think that's how I say his name. I'm not too sure, but um, so I mean, and they got Jericho Sims a good backup big. I mean, we're looking at it like this. Do you think that this is enough to keep Giannis in Milwaukee? Um, my answer is no. I think he's still going to ask out this year.
I just don't see Giannis being the guy to do the loyalty or anything. Because he's already doing that with Greece. To be realistic, in terms of his basketball loyalty, doing it for nothing, just to be the best it is to
Mm-hmm.
Greece. Yeah, he's just playing with some. What was it? Fire. He's not playing with the best of the best when he has to take on, the United States of America. So why should he want to do that every week he goes out there? So I'm also in the boat where I agree with guys like there is no point in just staying a buck, having a mortgage 20 million over the next 5 years, never being able to bring in a $20 million player because you're paying one not to show up. And I think the fall off of that is
Yeah, I
now as
think it's just
well. Lillard's going to get paid, right? What team gets Lillard for a cheap? I don't want to say a vet minimum, but it's probably going to be like a cheap vet minimum for a year when he can come back at the end.
yeah. I think you already know Miami's at the front of the line. I think they got a really good shot to get him. I mean, you can look at it this way. Like as soon as the news broke that uh, Lillard was waived and stuff, very very reliable insider Chris Haynes, who he pretty much has an inside scoop. I think he like really knows Dame like on a personal level. I think Dame was the first guy to kind of give him some inside scoop so that Chris Haynes could break out into the media space. So if Chris Haynes is saying look out for Miami Heat, you can guarantee that Dame wants to go there. Now, if we go back last week, Miami was at 15 roster spots. The trade that happened today that we'll talk about later, Miami's at 14 roster spots. Now you do the math. The math is mathing right there. So I think Miami, I think the Lakers, I think it's between Miami and the California teams, besides the Kings. Any of the California teams have a chance besides the Kings and Miami. But I think Miami's at the front of the list, at the front of the line. Is that what you're kind of thinking too?
Should be the front of this transgender is career like that he is. I mean, I want to get every bit of my buck possible, and I'm already getting paid 20 million by this other team not to show up. I go get the get the vet minimum over here in Miami. It's not taxed. So I'm getting the 3 million. What's the wrong in that? And then I don't even have to play the full season. I'm only playing a handful of games. You know what I mean? So like that's something that you can easily get past.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's very likely. Um, Jakob stays in Toronto. During the Kevin Durant talks, the Raptors were they were the dark horse, but they didn't want to give up Podol. The Suns wanted a center, and I think between Ware and Podol, they wanted a center. So whoever was going to give them a center was probably going to get Kevin Durant, but they wanted to keep Jakob. Gave him 4 years, 104 million. Tim Hardaway signs with the Nuggets. We'll talk about the Nuggets in a little bit, but the Nuggets made some
You
moves.
know, I kind of like the
Um,
Tim Hardaway to the Nuggets as like Tim Hardaway will be a guy that you can expect to get you like 20 on a very off random night that you kind of need him to. And I honestly think that's kind of what the Nuggets need.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's kind of something they kind of miss with Bruce Brown because it'd always be a random night out of somewhere. Bruce Brown just gave him 20.
Yeah, hey, Bruce Brown's back in town, so they got some. They loading up for sure. Hate to see it, but Duncan Robinson in a sign and trade, 3 years, $48 million goes to the Pistons. Pistons send back Fontecchio. Hope I'm saying that right to Miami. I mean, I love Duncan, but over the years, bro, he had a good bubble, had a good year after the bubble, but then after that, he was just wasn't reliable. It was either injury or he just go through too many shooting slumps. Um, yeah, for what he was getting paid, I don't think it was worth bringing him back. I think he was like on an expiring like $20 million deal. He opted out and then got this signing trade. So good for him. Um, I wish Miami would have got like a pick or two, at least a second round pick. But I guess I'll take someone on less money. Any thoughts?
Um, I don't know. I kind of was in the boat that Duncan Robinson could go. And I kind of feel like he's kind of plateaued where he can
Mm-hmm.
be. And the rest of the league knows what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the system that he's playing in the Heat, unless they kind of like formulate around his weaknesses, which I would say is on the defensive end, and the few nights where that three just ain't dropping and those defensive liabilities just aren't being weighed out.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Spencer Dinwiddie goes to the Hornets. Welcome to
Is he
purgatory.
now? Is there
Dante
like a
Exum
rule
returns to
that
the
the Hornets
Mavs.
only have white guys right now?
That and that Lamelo's the vet there, which is a little concerning. We'll talk about the Hornets in a little bit, but I think the Hornets, I think they might move Melo. I think he's going to get moved. I have this feeling. They got new ownership. Um, they had 1 year of Lamelo. I don't know if you keep Melo around, knowing that you have to pay him
Yeah,
again in a couple of years. I think they kind of do what they did to
but
Luca to Lamelo.
he does have that headache that comes with him. So I mean, it can easily be seen
Mm-hmm.
as okay. We have this asset that people are definitely going to want. We don't really like having to deal with his antics. We can pawn his antics on somebody else to deal with and get a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like LeVar has been quiet for the most part, mainly because he, had surgery on his foot, lost his foot, whatever. So he's been kind of out the limelight. But so maybe if you take that into account, you're like, okay, like I'm willing to trade for Lamelo. But I don't know. I just got a sneaking suspicion that he's going to get moved this year. Aiton finally signed with the Lakers. Um, I like this for the Lakers. I just think they need, and they re-signed Jackson Hayes. I don't know why Hayes went back to the Lakers, but I guess no one else wanted him,
We'll go
so
with where can we take you?
you just resign him. Yeah, you just get what you can take. I still think the Lakers need to make a move. I think they should go get Wiggins. I know Miami's asking prices a lot, but I think you just got to pay the freight. Because I don't really see a better move out there for the Lakers. Like the Lakers, you lost Dorian Finney-Smith, and then you go sign some his replacement for cheaper, but maybe it may not be as good. But even then, you still need a shooting and defense. So I think you get that with Wiggins. What do you think? What do you think the Lakers still need to do?
I do think I think the Lakers need to buy either into winning this season or moving on for the future. To be quite honest, which would probably be moving LeBron
Mm-hmm.
if that is your goal is to move towards the future. Which I believe that's kind of the new ownership. Like they're not going to let LeBron sit in and make decisions and anything like that. And that kind of leans towards, yeah, buddy, you're old. Everyone knows you're old. You become a liability towards the middle and the end of the season. We got this young superstar
Yep.
that we can just start building around, and your huge contract is just kind of getting in the way. I mean, I feel like if you just move LeBron, I feel like you. So what you get back in return for LeBron from somebody, you automatically still stay a contender in the West, regardless.
Yeah. Remember that LeBron has a no trade clause, so he will dictate where he wants to go. Early reports say he wants to go to Dallas. But Dallas is, you can see right here, only interested if he gets bought out. So I know last week I put it at like, what did I say? It's like a 33% chance of LeBron moving. Now I'm kind of upping it to like a third, maybe like 40%, either through trade or a buyout. I think, especially if they don't land another player, like I don't think LeBron will want to play with this team. Like it doesn't make sense to run it back and you just got beat the hell up by the Wolves, and the Wolves got better. So I don't see a scenario where he would want to run it back with this team if they're not serious about winning right now. Um, so we'll see. I mean, they could definitely get something for LeBron. I don't think it'll be a lot just because he's 40 and he has 1 year left. So, but I think someone will pay the freight. I don't know who though. Maybe the Warriors. Maybe the Warriors pay the
Someone
freight
stocked
for
up
1 year.
will pay the freight. But whoever pays the freight
The Rock.
is kind of pretty much throwing the whole season at the wall, in my opinion. I think LeBron's probably a mid-season trade.
Yeah, I could see that. I could either see that mid-season if they aren't playing well, the team is ass, he asked out, or like I said, if they don't make any significant moves other than Aiton, and it's just mostly the same team, I could see him asking out around training camp. Rockets trade Cam Whitmore to the Wiz for 2 second-round picks. Love this for the Wiz, but the Wiz got too many like guards and wings now, like between Chris Middleton, Smart, CJ, Koulibaly, Kispert. Like somebody has to go. Like you can't have like they're the Suns, all guards and bigs. Like somebody has to go. So who do you think the odd man out is
Kispert,
in Washington?
I just feel
Kispert,
like
okay.
that or Koulibaly. But Koulibaly kind of played good last season. I don't know. I really like the Wizards. I like the mixture of
Mm-hmm.
vet to young youth ratio. And the vets that you got there are all kind of in the need to prove stage. And honestly, as long as Kerrigan keeps getting time, I think we're all right. I think they're gonna make some noise. I think they're gonna be a playing team in the East, and I think it's gonna be like
Oh,
a slap to the face playing team. I think they're gonna make some noise.
yeah,
I
that's
think
the
they need a big
highest.
problem. I think they
Go
need to
ahead.
solve the big problem though.
That's the highest praise I've heard of the Wiz in a long time.
Playing team with
Um,
some
hey, I
spacking.
can see. I can definitely see it. Some other signings. Valanciunas wanted to play overseas, but the Nuggets want him to honor his contract, so there's a little back and forth going on right there. The Kevin Durant trade expanded into a 7-team trade. Basically, it's just all the trades that happened in the draft just got coupled together. Ryan Rollins returns to the Bucks, 3 years, 12 million. Still not enough to keep Giannis there. Um, the Dame trade, or not the Dame, the Drew Holiday trade got amended. Boston no longer gets 2 second round picks. So now I think it's an even swap. Before Boston clearly won the trade, but you know, I guess because of Drew Holiday's medical records or maybe his whatever, however his physical came back, Portland was a little concerned, so
It
they're
looks
like, all
like
right,
he's
we're
the
taking
best
those
one
picks
playing.
back. But he still does not want to play there. This is true, very true. Um, Lowry returns to the Sixers. Boncaro signs his rookie supermax. And then the big news of today: the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat did a trade. Heat get Norman Powell. John Collins goes to the Clippers, and K Love, who will be bought out, and Slow Mo, and one of the Clippers' second round picks go to the Jazz. For Miami, this is a good trade. They got Norman Powell for basically nothing. Two people who barely played. The Clippers get John Collins. They get a backup big slash. I guess even he could play the four, so he could play power forward and start. And start depends on how Coach Lou wants to, play around with his starting lineup. And then the Jazz just get, I guess, assets if you call them assets. I love it for Miami though. This is exactly what they need. How you feel about the trade overall?
Taylor was capped out on what he could do with the Clippers and how because you got Anthony Harden
Mm-hmm.
and you have to fill Leonard. And it just kind of seemed like in those playoff games, they didn't really let Powell get going because they had to move to Leonard and Harden got it done. And then Harden got game seven jitters
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, so I mean Miami getting uh basically borderline all star for little to nothing. Especially like a position of need. Like they needed scoring. They need another 20 plus point per game scorer. They get that. He's no slouch on defense, not a lockdown defender, but he can hold his own. The lineup's going to look a little weird. You probably have to start Hero and Powell and Wiggins. But this is, we'll talk about this right now. Just like Miami, I think should move off of Wiggins, trade him to LA, go get that package of Ruri, Connect, and a first rounder. You got an open roster spot. You can absorb an extra person. So I like that package for Miami. You basically turn Wiggins into two role players and a pick. I can't hate that. Also, I think if Powell can basically replicate what he did last year for the Clips, I think you start thinking about moving Tyler Hero.
again.
Because if he can do similar to what Hero does but cheaper, because Hero's up for extension this year and next year. But he said if he waits till next year, it's going to be more expensive. Meaning he wants $50+ million next year. He wants 40 plus this year, which he's not worth 40 million. I think you start having those conversations, or maybe Powell is the move before the move. Maybe they get Powell, so they can go get Giannis when he asks out. So then you get Milwaukee Powell, Hero, and whatever else they want. I don't know. What do you think about all that? What do you think is most likely? What do you like?
In personal opinions, I believe that moving off of Wiggins should be like your number one game plan. I just don't think he's really worth the
Yeah.
price. Of, that is my true honest opinion. I've always kind of seen Aaron Wiggins as a little bit overrated. I know he's good. Like he's just one of those guys who is a silent stat. His stats don't always say he's performing at the highest level, but now I see him doing something of importance in the game.
Yeah, I think Wiggins got to go. That's probably the highest priority. But like I said, I definitely can see Hero getting moved if Powell plays well. or Hero gets moved and Powell gets moved for a bigger trade down the line. I think they still got some moves left in their back pocket that they're working on, so we'll just have to see. It's nothing's imminent, but I just have a feeling they're either gonna make a big splash or they're just gonna move off a Hero because there's no way you can pay that guy $50 million. He's not a max guy, never will be. I think he's pretty much at his ceiling. World, all-star caliber, 25 points per game scorer. Would I pay him $40 million if he makes another All Star game next year? Yeah, I guess at that point you have to, but I'm not paying $50 million, bro. Like, I can't do that. Can't do that. That's pretty much all the news up until today. So, do you have any early winners? Any teams that you're like, damn, like they're a lot better than they
I
were
think we
last
both
year?
agree. We can
Um,
just say up front that a winner that we both believe is the Hawks. Um, Another winner for me, like I
yeah,
was explaining,
yep,
I think the Wizards are a winner. I just think they have enough talent that they can make noise in the East. Um, but yeah, Atlanta, Washington, for both those reasons, I feel like they did a good job of keeping the vets they want to keep and then bringing in some youth with some, I guess, elderly age. I think there's going to be some, um, I want to say, busted hopes in the East, but I've got to believe like the Pacers, they're just not going to be able to output everything they need to. I want to say make a deep playoff push. I would say even struggle to make a play in. I kind of feel like that's who someone the Wizards could be faced up against. Um, but then like the Hawks, like you have an easy shot in the East. It's not that good to make a big leap forward, take a 3 or 4 spot. And then I also believe Magic as well from their all season. They also have to be looking at we've got to be a top 3 seed next year. The Celtics are going down. The Pacers are going down. The Knicks can only afford to do it so much. And you know how they play, and they're going to be kind of
yep.
almost in the middle of like a regrouping period. So they're not even at full capacity. So I mean, your competition is just not there. It's like a move and run has to be made from I think those three in the East. Less so the Wizards though, much so less than the Wizards. I think their main run will push should be a playing spot.
Yeah, I agree with all three teams. I love all the moves they made. So those will be my early winners in the East. In the West, I'm gonna throw one team out there. The Nuggets, like I said, they kind of reloaded off of limited assets, kind of laid down the blueprint of how you do that. Um, I mean, they pushed the Thunder to Game 7, and they were one game away from going back to the Western Conference Finals. Um, so I mean, the added depth should help them out a lot. Getting Bruce Brown back, turning Michael Porter Jr. into Cam Johnson, who's a younger and cheaper, and honestly, at this point, probably a better player than him. You keep Aaron Gordon, you keep Jokic, you keep Murray. Christian Braun should be better next year. We'll have to see if they bring back Russ. He's still unsigned, but I know that they're high on Pickett. Um, Peyton Watson's going to get better. Yeah, Valanciunas is the backup big. Deron Holmes should be back and playing this year. He didn't play last year because he tore the ACL, I believe. So they got a lot going for them. I really think they're probably the second best team in the West right now. I think Houston is good, but I don't think Kevin Durant puts them above the Nuggets. I think they're a solid third in the West, the Houston. Unless Amen Thompson takes a huge leap, which he probably could, but we'll have to see. Um, Losers, I think so far the losers, the Lakers sign Aiton like when they need major roster moves. Doesn't do it for me. So um, with that, coupled with LeBron putting out his message, basically saying, "Hey, I'm open to leaving if this thing stays crappy." Um, I think they have to be more a move with more urgency. Uh, let's see who else. The Warriors, like the Warriors, needed moves too. They really didn't do anything. I think they're the only team that didn't do anything. Like they didn't sign anybody. It's quite obvious they need to make some type of move. You gotta, you know, resolve the Kaminga situation. Honestly, you should probably move off of Kaminga just because he just doesn't fit there. So until they solve that, they're a loser. And then in the East, I mean, the East is really no losers, honestly. But if I had to pick one, I might say the Celtics just because it's a down year and the team is not looking the
I feel
best.
like that one's a little harsh because
um,
for what
I'll
they're
say,
trying to do for the future, it's actually
you know, yeah, it's smart in terms of forward thinking, but all season wise, their pickups have been lackluster. Maybe the Bulls because the Bulls haven't made any moves either, and they still have two people they got to take care of: Kobe White and Giddy. And apparently, Giddy wants like $30+ million per year, which is insane. I don't think you pay Giddy that much. So I would say Celtics and Bulls with my two losers. You got any losers so far?
our losers. Honestly, I want to say Nets. I feel like the Nets haven't done jack at all. That also does mean they haven't really lost anything at
Oh
all,
yeah, it's
other
true.
than Johnson and stuff like that. And with the Nets, honestly, just kind of below average stinker free agency.
Yep.
Um, honestly, personal, I kind of think with the Clippers, in my personal opinion, I feel like the problem with their team is injuries and the lack of depth that they can start having with said injuries. You got injury bug number one in Leonard, and then you had Harden basically barely carry you there last year. And they even run it back, but then you lost Norman Powell. Haven't really retooled that part. And then your depth's only really gotten worse. And there's no
Yeah, and there's rumblings that Beal is heavily considering the Clippers now that the Miami is likely moving on because they got Powell. So yeah, adding Beal, who's also injury prone, who played well, but I mean, when you talk about injury prone, that's just a team of old men. Old men. They're just going to get hurt all the time. I don't know if you necessarily want to do that, go down that road. All right, that's all the winners and losers so far. Like I said, Summer League. At least in Vegas, starts later this week. I know they got the California Classic and the Utah Classic going on right now, so um, we'll go over this more in depth next week. Maybe there's some more moves to be made in the coming week or so. But that's all I got, Lawrence. Anything you want to cover
good.
before we head on out?
Give me some football raw.
All right. Well, WWE Raw this week. Don't miss it. Also, I think the woman only event is this Saturday, Evolve. So check that out as well. Should be pretty cool to watch. I think Saturday night main event is this weekend as well. So if we don't see you guys, another episode this week, then don't forget to check that out as well. Goldberg's retirement match is against Gunther. We'll see how good he looks. Hopefully, he doesn't look like too old of a man,
I
but
think he's going to look a little
I
old.
don't know. Hopefully, he puts on a good show. Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, guys, that's all I got. MTL Sports. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thank you for listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. We will see you
Ciao.
later. Peace.